What's up? My name's John with Bike Productions and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about 5 things that I wish I knew before purchasing this car. And I know this particular title and topic is pretty overused in the YouTube community, but these are legitimate things that I took time to script as well as research, which I really didn't have to do that much research just because these are all things that I've experienced with the car since I've been owning it for the 3 months I've had it so far. So before we get into today's video, I want to thank my first Patreon, Jeff. If you haven't already, you can check out the Patreon and a link in the description below. But I'm actually in the process of revising the Patreon tiers currently. I'm also opening up the Discord to anyone who wants to join. So if you want to have a conversation with me, learn a little bit more about how the car has been performing since I've been owning it, definitely check out the links in the description below. I'll leave both the Patreon as well as the Discord link in the description below. And like I said, anyone can join, so it's free to everyone. So I know this is kind of an awkward angle, but I'm gonna have to be like turning and shifting here just because I have the camera mounted on my window. So if my head's cut off at the top, that's why. But anyway, first thing I want to talk about is taxes. If you don't know, this car comes with a $7,500 tax credit, at least in the state of Texas. That might be different in other states. And also I heard other states get additional tax credits on top of what you get with the $7,500 tax credit. However, one of the things that I noticed is you still have to pay taxes on the car. And I know that's like a really dumb thing to say because you have to pay taxes on every car, right? So when I originally heard they were doing a tax credit, I was like, okay, so this is like $7,500 off. Plus I don't have to pay taxes because it's an EV. I know it's a really dumb way of thinking, but that's legitimately something that I thought before I purchased this car. So spoiler alert, you still have to pay taxes on this car. And think of the $7,500 tax credit as just like a little incentive for you to buy this car. I wouldn't even say it's like that much money compared to the overall cost it is to purchase this car, at least in cash. I paid cash, and I want to say my bill was 54 or 55,000, something like that. So it's still a monumental amount of money for a car, and $7,500 really doesn't chew that much into that overall number. The other thing is, in the state of Texas, you have to pay an annual EV fee along with your registration each year, and that fee is $200. And the way I understand it is they typically collect this fee when you're putting gas in your car at the pump. So each time you fill up gas, there's a small fee that amounts to $200 or whatever the cost is per year. And that fee is used to improve the road infrastructure in your area. Now, I do like the fact that they're using the fee to improve the roads, because here in Texas, at least where I live, the roads suck. Like, they suck. And they really need to be improved. The other thing is there's a lot of construction in my area as well, but none of the construction are like for improving roads, especially like back roads and stuff like that. It's like pothole central back there. So I don't even bother taking those roads. But anyway, that's what they use the $200 they get from you per year. Now, the problem I have with that is we pay taxes and electricity and other things when you're owning an electric car. So you'll pay taxes no matter what. So I feel like an additional $200 for owning a car that's not even a gas car is pretty stupid, especially if that money isn't going towards improving road infrastructure, because here in my area, like I said, they don't really do that. And if they do, it's super slow, and it takes years for them just to pave something. And when they do pave the road, it just gets destroyed months later, and they just refill it, and it's just like a repeating cycle. Like there's just like not much that they're contributing to fixing these roads, and maybe that's by design, I don't know. So that's one of the things that I wish I knew before purchasing this car. The second thing is tires, and I talked about this briefly in my last video. You can see that video in a card up here somewhere. I pointed like here last time, but it turns out the card was like over here, so I'm just gonna point in the middle for now. That's gonna look really weird, but whatever. But anyway, tires. If you guys don't know, I actually just recently replaced one of the tires from a nail, and like I said, there's a lot of construction in my area, so these things happen. So it was pretty much inevitable that I would get a nail in my tire. So after that, I was actually going to meet up with some friends to take a Sunday cruise. So this happened, I want to say, not this past Sunday, but maybe like the Sunday before. But I was going towards the location for the cruise, and as I was going to the location, my PSI started to drop, and I had it on my screen. There was actually originally an icon saying that it was really low, so I was like, okay, cool, so maybe I could quickly go to Walmart and they can fill up my tire with air. But as I was going towards the meetup spot for our cruise, the PSI started dropping like crazy. So that's why I was like, okay, there's clearly a nail or something going on here. So I stopped at NTB on the way there, and they said that the nail was on the wall, the inside wall of the tire. So if you don't know, if a nail is located in that spot, it can't be patched. The tire can't be patched at all. So I had to call Tesla roadside assistance, and what they did was they set me up with a scheduled appointment and came out to replace the tire. Originally what they did was they just took the entire tire off, not just the tire, but the entire wheel, so the rim and the tire, and they gave me like a spare little 19-inch rim, and it looked like it came from an outgoing Model 3, so it wasn't even like the right width or anything like that, but they said I could use that to just do like quick grocery runs and stuff like that, just so I'm just not like SOL basically. But anyway, they gave me that tire, and they came back a couple days later with my wheel as well as a brand new tire, so they replaced that. But in between that time, what they did was they actually quoted me for the tire itself, and the tire was over $500 for a single tire for this car. So after that, I've been researching and shopping around different places to see if they offer some sort of roadside hazard insurance for nails and tires, for specifically for OEM tires. Because when I was stranded that Sunday when I was going towards the cruise, which I wasn't really stranded because I had them put air in my tire, and that was just enough for me to get back home on a flat basically. And luckily these are run flats, so it was fairly stable when I was going towards where I live and get in the car in a safe area. But when I was talking to the guy at NTB, they literally had like no other tires in the area, and I just didn't have that kind of time to look into other shops, especially on a Sunday, considering most shops were closed that day. So I ended up just chancing it, and I had them put some air in my tire, and that's when I went home from there. And it was maybe about a 30 to 40 minute drive. And as I was driving home, the PSI was going down like crazy. I actually didn't think I would make it, but I did. And luckily these tires are run flats, because if you don't know, run flats are pretty stable when it comes to flat tires, and supposedly you could ride up to 50 miles an hour on them. But that's your PSA. If you're purchasing this car, make sure your insurance offers roadside hazard. Also, you'll be paying an arm and a leg for a brand new tire if it gets a nail or if something happens to it. Third thing, no one actually really talks about this, but for this specific 2024 Model 3 Performance, I don't know if this plagues any other 2024 Tesla models, but the features that you get from the outgoing models aren't on this car. So for example, Smart Summon isn't available on this car. And if you don't know, Smart Summon's basically like this luxury feature on the Tesla app where you can effectively summon your car to your location. So this could be applicable if you're like at a grocery store, like maybe you're at a Target or something, and you're right in front of where the Target doors is, but your car is parked way out in the parking lot and it's raining. Having a feature like this could be like a game changer, especially for people who have like disabilities when it comes to walking, or someone elderly, for example, that might not be able to make the walk across the parking lot to get their car. So those are just like a couple examples, but basically the main thing is the feature isn't available on this car, whereas it's available on older Model 3s. Not sure exactly why. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that they're not using the ultrasonic sensors that are found in the earlier models, and they're just using cameras. But that's just one feature that I found. I'm sure there's other features as well that this car doesn't inherit from the older models. The fourth thing is the Wi-Fi in this car. The Wi-Fi radio in this car doesn't seem to favor connecting to a smartphone when you have your hotspot available on your phone. I've talked about this a number of times, I feel like across maybe some of my earlier videos, but if you don't know, I've been having connection issues with my hotspot and this car. And I haven't had any other issues using this hotspot with any other device. And I have a lot of devices. I've got a MacBook, I've got another phone, Hell, I've got like three or four other phones, just older phones that I've had over the years. And I just have like a number of smart devices that I use my hotspot on, especially when I'm out and about or traveling. And I've never had any issues with them. But when I got this car, it was just like, it just wouldn't connect sometimes. And I'd say maybe it connects 30 or 40% of the time. And I think that number has changed just because I've owned the car a little bit longer. Because I think last time I might have said it connects 20% of the time or something like that. But I'd say reliably 30 or 40% of the time. The other thing is it actually connects pretty nicely when you're at a supercharger and there's Wi-Fi available, because at some superchargers, which something I didn't know, so this could be like another little bonus thing. Some superchargers actually have Wi-Fi available, and I'm not sure if that's provided by Tesla themselves or the local business. But when I plugged my car up to charge one day, there was a prompt to connect to Wi-Fi, and it said like something like Tesla guest, and it was an open network. So I thought that was pretty cool, but it connected seamlessly, whereas my smartphone, it does not do that most of the time. And this leads me to my last thing, and that is privacy. If you don't know, I'm very big on privacy and cybersecurity. I actually studied cybersecurity, and there's a lot of weird stuff that companies do with your data, and Tesla is one of those companies, especially in the past with how they've mistreated and handled data. But if you don't know, I actually made a more detailed video about talking privacy and data in this car, and I'll leave a card to that video up above this video so that way you can check it out. But I've come to the realization that this card simply isn't compatible with my privacy needs. One example I'll tell you is pretty recent, and it actually happens to coincide with my tire issue. But essentially what happened was, when I was on the phone with Tesla's automated system, their system actually remotely collected data from my car based on why I was calling. I didn't even have to tell them why I was calling, which is pretty convenient, I will say, but I have a problem with that because I don't know how long they'll keep that data for, and I don't know where it's being stored or how they're handling it. But essentially what they did was they remotely sent diagnostic data based on the condition of the car. So the car knew I had a flat tire and it was telling me to pull over. So I guess what they did was they took that information and they sent it back to whatever customer service rep I'd be dealing with, so that way they know, which is weird because I still had to tell them why I was calling. So just having that capability alone where you could just like remote into someone's car and just extract that data, I don't think that is not something that I like about this car. And I wish it's something that I knew before purchasing this car, because like I said, I'm very big on privacy. And if you don't know, Tesla has a pretty shady past when it comes to managing your data. I'll include some articles so you can check out more about that. They are older articles, but they're still relevant today because a lot of companies still do this, and it's really dumb. So as a workaround, I actually set up my own VPN, and no, it's not NordVPN or Surfshark or any other. It's called Tailscale, and it's a self-hosted VPN that I host behind my own firewall, and it's basically installed on a server that I made myself, and that server is running an application called AdGuard Home, where I can block outbound queries. Think of it like a firewall on top of a firewall, but this firewall is mainly geared towards blocking malicious, privacy-invading ads or software on your network. So if you go back to what I was saying around connecting this phone to the car for mobile data, that is why it's so important for me to get this fixed, because I want the ability to block those queries from Tesla or any other data collecting things that they do on this car, which I'm sure there's a lot that I'm missing. So that is today's video. I know it got a little bit passionate just because, like I said, I put together this list with some thought, and I didn't want to be like another YouTuber that's using this title and thumbnail and topic about, oh, 5 things I wish I knew about blah blah blah, and it's just like stupid stuff basically. So definitely have some passion here. If you enjoyed this video and you found it informative, feel free to just leave a quick like. If you're just passing by and you made it this far into the video, feel free to check out my other content, check out my Discord, check out pretty much everything. Yeah, I make some pretty cool content. I started making car reviews, and I'm actually working on my next car review, and it is super cool. I actually just started making some progress on it yesterday just because it's been a little while since I've touched it, I'll be honest, just because I've been super busy with other things. But I just sent a clip to the owner and he loves it. But I'm hoping to get that review out sometime towards the end of this month, just because I still have a couple more B-roll clips that I have to shoot. So if you like the review on my Tesla Model 3 Performance, you'll definitely like that one. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And this has been John with Blackbird Productions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.